Hi, I'm Emilie Wiley. I'm a member of the teachers group, and today I'm going to show you how I paint water lilies. This is a finished tile. It's done on an 8x10 tile. Water lilies come in all different colors, so basically you can use whatever colors you want. I would suggest that you have 3 values of each of the colors we're using. It just makes it a bit easier. The colors that I'm using are chartreuse, autumn green, moss green, and dark green. I do have a pink, and I have a blue violet, a blue, an intense purple, which is more of a pink color, yellow brown number 2, rich brown, and black. I'm going to start with my intense purple. And I'm going to just give a wash of color on the petals of the lily, trying to get the darkest color in the shadow areas, but that can be corrected on another fire, so don't lose any sleep over it. I like to do all of the petals that are behind. I work from the back toward the front and get it as smooth as you can get it. Don't worry if you go outside the lines, they can be cleaned up. That's really not a problem. What I like to do also is mix on my brush. I've gone in with some of the darker blue, and I'm getting more of a purple color, because when one petal is behind the other, it is going to have a kind of a shadow on it. So I'm just going to get the darker color where the shadow would be. I'm still using a bigger brush, and I'm just blocking in some color here. And I am a lazy painter. Sometimes I'll keep basically the same color on my brush and do some of these darker areas, and then go back with a lighter color and fill in the light colors. Okay, I'm going to switch now to the more of the all pink and get some of this here. Just trying to work the colors out until they're smooth. Just keep filling in all the darker areas, and then the lighter color goes on the outer edge of the petal. If you mix the colors on your brush, you will get a good variation of color without really needing to work too hard to get it. It's an easy way of applying the color. Get a little bit of lighter color on the outer edge of the petal. Okay, what I'm going to do is just work on this side of the petal, so you can see how I end up finishing this. Again, the darker color is going to be at the base of the petal. Try and get this as smooth as you can. And the darker color is going to be in the shadow area under this petal. If you look at a flower, it's basically not always the same value all the way through. You just have to kind of follow through and get some variation in the leaves or the petals, whichever you're painting. I'm going to go back and put the lighter colors on the edge of these petals. And there are some spots, if you don't get any color in there, that's fine too, because some of these are going to be wiped out a bit, just to make them lighter and more definite. If you hold onto your brush handle back toward the very end, you can blend the colors and make them a little bit smoother. Bring the petals from the outer edge in toward the center, so your brush strokes are going to show the direction of the petal, and all the while you're trying to get it as smooth as you can. Be sure when you are painting it, the base of the petal goes all the way down toward the center. So be sure and get some color down in there. Okay, I'm going to show you how I separate the petals now. I take a Q-tip. It's kind of a pointed Q-tip, but not a really sharp point. And I'm going to put a highlight on this petal. Now, this may look like too big of a highlight, but actually it is not. It's going to work out fine. And you want a little bit of a highlight there. Again, I'm a lazy painter. I'm going to stick with what I'm working with right at this point. So it's taking the Q-tip, wiping this out. You could take a wipeout tool, and I will show you the difference, why I prefer a Q-tip. If you take a wipeout tool, you see how the Q-tip has softer edges between these two petals. If I use a wipeout tool, I'm going to get a nice wiped out edge, but it's also going to leave a line of oil along there. So I prefer using the Q-tip. The Q-tip is going to soak up the oil. I'm not sure if I said I do use mineral oil when I paint. And I really don't have any problems with it. So feel free to use whatever you prefer. Okay. Okay, soften that a little bit there. How about a new Q-tip? And this one will be highlighted here. This one will be highlighted here. Okay. You do have to change the Q-tips every once in a while. And this needs a highlight right on that one. Okay, there's a highlight on this one. The highlight is going to help bring this petal on top of the petal behind it. So sometimes you just need a little highlight. Sometimes you need a larger highlight. It depends on the petal. And again, you do have to keep changing the Q-tips to get what you need. I can see I'm getting kind of a buildup of some oils there. So I just dab it with a Q-tip and knock the oil down a bit. I really don't want to have any problems with the buildup. Okay, so then I can take the same brush I've been painting with, the same size 14. And what I'm going to start doing is pulling from the end of the petal down toward the base of the petal. And you just kind of want to blend it so you don't have this definite line. You just soften the lines. And I'm sorry if you're getting a glare, but I'm trying to do the best I can here. Okay. I do want to clean this one back a little bit. I dragged some color. So I'm just going to go back with the brush and clean out this edge. And then pull this color back down again. Blend it. Blend it from the tip of the petal back to the base of the petal. One nice thing about the porcelain pieces is we can turn them upside down, right side up, whatever works for us is what we need to do. Okay, I forgot to wipe that one out right there, so wipe it, blend it down. Okay, from the tip of the petal back toward the center of the, or the end of the center of the flower, but it's the end of the petal. Again, from the center, or from the tip to the center. And again, you can turn your piece so that you get it the way you want it. That is about what I would do for that on the first one. I would do the whole flower. All the petals of the flower would be done this same way. But just to kind of expedite things, I am going to jump now to the center of this flower. And what I'm using now is my intense purple along with the blue violet. And I just paint in, and I'm going to try and get it a little bit heavier so you can see what I'm, maybe I'll just go with the blue violet and get it darker in there. Okay, just a little bit darker in here. Okay, I'm going to try all three colors. You can always, on another fire, you can darken these colors. You will have to darken them, trust me. Okay, I'm going to try and get this just a little bit darker over here. Again, hold on to your brush at the end of the handle. Try and get that smooth. Okay, I'm chasing a glob of something there. Gonna smooth it out just a bit more before I start wiping this out. The center of these reminds me of a chrysanthemum, especially like the bud of a chrysanthemum. So with the chrysanthemum, if you start up at the top of the center and you pull it down. Okay, I'm going to try doing it with a brush and see if that's going to work today. It's a pointer, number 3. Put the brush down, push and pull. Push and pull. You do have to clean your brush off after every stroke, so keep that in mind as you're painting. And I would like these just a bit cleaner, so. Okay. Again, starting over here, come up here with a short one, and then you can start making them longer. You don't want them all to be the same length. I'm going to change the length of some of those in just a minute, but I'm going to finish getting some of these down here too. So you can see the completed center. Okay. This area in here is irregular shape. Okay, come to a point. I have to look at one because I lost the pattern. I'm going to use a smaller brush. Again, it is a square shader. Number 7. And what I'm going to do is go into the yellow brown and a little bit of yellow brown number 2. And I'm going to paint some of these, the base of the stamens. Just get some of this yellow color down in there. If you lose the pattern, so you can see where it's very light. So now I've just got to kind of do my own thing, which is fine. You can do your thing. I'm giving you permission. Do your own thing. Yeah, it's your flower to kind of do with whatever you want. But around the base of the stamens, they are the yellow and yellow brown combination. It's going to be okay. I'm going to go this way and put some yellow brown in here. Okay. And a little bit more over in here. It does not have to be totally all the way around. You can leave some spaces. And then what you kind of have to do is use your judgment, and I guess I would say kind of take a guess at where those lines are supposed to be, and put the lines in for the stems of the stamens. The stamens kind of sweep down. Okay. And they can crisscross, or they can come way out. It's your flower. Again, you've got my permission to do with it whatever you want, except don't throw it away. Just keep painting and you're going to end up with a beautiful flower. Now you can see where I'm using the wipeout tool. I am getting kind of a buildup of color there that I really don't want. So I can just take a Q-tip and get some of that excess color off of there. But I do want to get more stamens in here. Okay. I'm using the pointed end of the wipeout tool, and I'm just starting at the top and going down. Okay, let's wipe that one just a little bit clearer. Okay, just getting some of the excess color out of there. You could also do this with a finer Q-tip if you have some, but apparently I didn't bring any today, so I will show you how to do it this way. Now the stamens are painted with, I'm going to use the intense purple with a mixture of blue, basically the same color I got on the petals. And I'm just going to start at one end, and wherever you just wiped out, you want to put this color in. It's part of the stamen. You will be giving it 2 or 3 more coats, so it does not have to be super smooth, but you do want to be able to see where it is. Starting at the outer edge and pulling it. Whoa, yeah, it's got some nice color there. Try and get a variation in color on them. Don't make them all the same intensity or same value. Okay, there are some that are down here at the bottom also. They are a little bit shorter. And they can go different directions also. They can come up onto the center. There are a whole bunch of stamens on these lilies. So just fill up that whole area with some stamens. Okay. Okay. I do have a buildup of color at the base of these. So again, I'm just going to take the Q-tip and clean up some of that excess. What I also want to do is at the tip of the stamen has the area where the pollen is. So I'm going to take a Q-tip and wipe out an oval shape for that area where the pollen collects. Again. You may not be able to see these that well at this point, but I think on another fire you should be able to see what I'm doing. Sometimes you can just make a little circle and then pull it down. As long as it connects to part of the stamen, it's fine. And I think you can see that I am maybe getting 2 of these out of one Q-tip and then switch and get a new Q-tip, because you don't want to leave a bunch of dirt up on the end there. If the Q-tip is filled with color, you're not going to get a nice clean wipe out on it. I can see where I want to clean up some edges here a little bit more. I'm going to get a different brush. Okay, I'm going to try and smooth these out just a bit more. I can always put more color on a second fire, but I do kind of want it to be smooth. So any of them where I think it looks, I'm going to say globbed, and I'm going to just go over it with this brush and smooth it. And then I still have a couple of the stamens down in here to clean out. So I'm going to show you this leaf. In the base of this leaf, the leaves tend to go down. They're kind of like a circle, and they go down in the center and attach to the stem, and then they kind of like flare out. So you do want to try and get some movement similar to that. And you're going to put the darker green down. Now, assuming that I have paint on them, on the petal, I'm trying to be careful. And I just want to get a good coverage of, and even though you can see I've still got some purple in the brush, that doesn't bother me because it could be reflected light from the petals. And it's going to get darker on successive firing, so it's like, don't lose any sleep over that. I like to get up close to the petals, at least get that started there, and bring it out toward the edge. Okay. Just keep applying the paint. We're going to smooth it out in a little bit, so don't worry about it. Okay, yep, you do come all the way up in there. Start out here, bring it in toward the petal, and bring it right up tight to the other petal. Follow the shape of your petals for this. Well, you'll have wet paint on them. What you can do if you're more comfortable doing it that way, you can do the flower, leave it, do another, go ahead and fire that, do another fire where you're going to add more, well, you can add the color to the leaves. You can break this up into as many firings as what you want. It's going to be whatever works best for you. Don't let anybody intimidate you and say, oh, I can do it in one fire. So, okay, go for it. Now you can add another value of green just to get a little bit more variety. It's getting kind of up toward the top of the lily. So depending on where the light is coming from, it could conceivably be a little bit different color there. Again, where this leaf joins the stem, it is darker down in there. So you do want some of the dark color in that area. And it just kind of flares out, kind of like an umbrella. If you look at the top of the umbrella where it looked down right from the top, and it kind of just goes out. You want to get a bit of like a shadow area in there. Okay. And I'm going to go back with some of the autumn green or brown green and put more color here. And over here. Remember, this is the first fire, so you don't have to get it totally dark. You can work in layers. For me, it's always easier to work in layers. It's easier for me to correct my mistakes if the layer is not super dark. What I like to do too is on the outer edge, I'm going to have some chartreuse because it's going to separate it from either the water or the leaf that's under it. And I'm also going to change the shape of this leaf. I don't really care for the way that that one is looking right now. Again, it's your flower, your leaf. If you want to change something, by all means, change it. This is something good to practice when you're sitting around doing nothing else. Just practice getting smoother brush strokes. And I know what you're thinking, well, they're all going the same way. I am going to fix that. Don't panic. Over here, again, I want a little bit of the chartreuse color. Okay, I'm hitting it in some places where I don't want to and getting streaks, but basically I would work with this until I've got it as smooth as what I wanted and lines going. If you can see any lines, I'm going to try and get rid of the lines, but if you see any of the lines, you want to try and blend everything smooth. But you can work at that, but that would be the general idea for this leaf. That's about what you would want to do. I would finish doing the rest of the leaves, and then I would also just put a wash of black on the background. When you do the wash of black, be sure and leave an area up above the lily where it's going to look like reflections in the water. This lily was a picture of a lily that I took years ago at a botanical garden somewhere near Madison, Wisconsin. But it just had a little bit of color up here for the water. And you can put some of the blues or the purples or whatever. And just make sure that these lines are parallel to the edge of the tile. And then again, you can kind of smooth them if you want. You can erase part of them. You can lengthen part of them. You can just play with it to your heart's content. But get something like that up in the water. And then you fire that and you end up with something that looks like this. So again, I'm going to stick with the same side that I did on that first one. Now what I would do on this second fire is again start out the same way that I did before. I'm going to darken these petals that are behind, and I'm going to use either the blue or the blue violet. I am using mineral oil to paint with and also to clean my brush. And yes, I am going on the leaf. I'm not really worried about that. The back petals are going to be a little bit darker than the front petals. And again, it's depending on what color you end up with here. That's going to kind of be the color of your lily, whether it's pink or lavender or even a purple color. It doesn't make any difference. You'll see one of those somewhere in the world. Sometimes you have to look really hard, but you can find them. So again, I want the shadow area on this petal. And again, I'm going to be a lazy painter and just stick with this color for a little bit. Okay. I'm going to wipe this out so I don't get confused when I go to highlight them. And I'm bringing this color down darker toward the center. And then I'm going to bring some more up here. I'm going to get a little bit more color. And this is darker back behind this one. So I do want a separation there. And I am kind of dabbing the color off of my brush to get it onto the porcelain. But now you can see those two petals are separated. Okay. Again, I'm going to be lazy. I guess I'd call this a lazy lily. Well, I don't know. Okay. Okay, this has got to be separated a bit more in here. And then I would wipe this out to even show more separation. I think when I first started painting, I was told there is no white. The china is the white, or the porcelain is the white. And now, lo and behold, somebody has come up with a white. But it doesn't always work the way you really want it to. So you still have to be kind of careful. And well, and at this point, I'm trying to leave more highlights in the petals. Okay, again, I'm going to start at the outer edge and I'm going to blend that color all the way down. And okay, I see another one that's got to be separated. This one right here. And this one right here. So I've separated them. Now I'm going to blend them. I've separated this one and I'm going to blend it. And this has been separated, so I'm going to blend this one. And again, I am using a number 14 brush. That's showing you the second fire on the petals. So I'm going to work on the center again. I've dropped down to a smaller brush. I would kind of like one with a better corner. Maybe this one might work for me now. And I am going to go right into the blue violet and see if that's going to work this time. Yeah, I'm getting better color with this one. It should be darker toward the base of the center. I'm just trying to get a wash of color on here. And I do want it darker here in the center. So I don't want this to be so stark here. I'm going to put a wash of color there. And I'm just going to keep pulling the color toward the base of the center where it would connect with the stem down in here. Okay. You can wipe out a few of these, but you don't really want them super light. Otherwise, they're really going to stick out. But I think I'm going to leave them. What I will do is clean out the stamens. Yeah, it looks like I kind of went crazy with the stamens right there. Wipe out some of these stamens. This is fun when you got to try and find what you painted before and it's already covered up. You know, it looks to me like my stamens are getting bigger and bigger. So this is a very healthy plant. Okay. I'm going to get the third fire here so I can see some things defined a little bit better. Ah, that is better. Okay. I do want to put more color on the base of the stamens. That would be the yellow-brown area. So this time I'm going to use some yellow-brown with a little bit of rich brown. Rich brown or hair brown. If you use the hair brown, you kind of got to be careful. Don't get it too dark. This is going to be a little bit darker down in there. It's going to be darker at the base. Okay. Just to give it a little bit of definition, but you could also just take your wipeout tool and add a little bit of definition if you have a separate base of the stamen. Okay, as long as you get some variation down in here, you should be able to see some separations of the stamens. And then once again, you want to add a purple, no, blue violet and intense purple. That goes on the stem of the stamens. Don't forget your stamens do need a stem. They got to be connected to something. And what I think is nice is if you don't feel like doing this on this fire, you can certainly do it on another fire, but get a little bit of color. Can be the rose, can be the intense purple, or the blue violet. Get a little bit in, and I should be able to get a little bit of that out of there, just to so you can see that it is part of the stamen. Okay, and I see where I didn't do a straight line or a whole line, so I'm going to try and smooth that just a bit. On this fire, you get a little bit picky, but next fire is when you really get picky. And you want to make sure that everything is defined. Okay, you're not connected with anything. Okay. And yes, I know I put the color in and I wipe the color out, and I'm putting more color in and I'm wiping more color out. But I do want to get kind of a definition of the stamens, but yet have it blend in with the rest of the lily. And another fire, you can define them a little bit more, but okay. I think that's probably about it on that. Then I would do, okay. Now I'm going to show you on this leaf again. Again, I'm going to go in with a darker color in the more shadowed areas. If you didn't already put your lines in for the lines on the leaf, you can do that this time. It's not a big deal. But you do want it darker down toward the center. Different values of the green or different shades of green. I am using some of the black green with some of the moss green and or the autumn green. But this time I am going to be sticking to the darker colors. And the darkest shade is going to be right up close to the petals. And my brush is getting a little bit dry here. Again, I'm painting with mineral oil. And every once in a while, the brush does need some oil, so try and keep the brush happy. Just keep defining the shadow areas. If you didn't already put the holes in the leaf, now would be the time to, I mean, if you get this painted, this firing would be the time to at least get started on that. I don't know about you, but me and black don't really get along too well together. I've had too many occasions where I fire like the black background and everything is fine. And then I do some more work on it and I fire it again and the black starts popping off. I have no idea why that's happening. This was painted probably 20 years ago. Three kind of like thin layers of black, and it's fine. I've tried doing that again, and it just doesn't work. It'll start popping. My thought is there is not as much lead in today's paints as what there used to be. And that's one reason why I know it can't be me. I know that. So it's like, okay, it's got to be the paint. God only knows. I wouldn't make a mistake. Okay, just keep getting that darker color close to the petals. Try and get the whole petal painted. And okay, pull some of you back out this way. Put some of you down in there. Okay. Again, I am going more for the autumn green on this one, or brown green. And again, I do want a darker color in the shadow area. I'm just going to stick with the autumn green and finish getting a layer of color on here. And again, I don't care if I get on the black, because the black will help cover it. But blend, try and get your strokes as smooth as you can, and just get some color on there. If you're working on a tile and you have a tile underneath, try not to hit the bottom tile too hard, so you don't want to break it. So okay, again, here you would bring the color down there. And on this one, I put a leaf down in here. This I have, and I would cover this one with black to kind of sink it into the water. This is this one, and it will end up underneath, so it is going to be darker. This is this one, so again, with the black on it, it sets it down under. This one I put a leaf here instead of over there, but I covered it with black just to sink it in the water a little bit more. Again, when I do the layer of black, I'm going to work down on this one. It's well, this is a smaller area, I think, so get it done a little bit faster, but get the nice coat of black in there. And all the while you're painting, try not to get your hand in the wet paint. Get more black over in here along this edge. If I want to, I can change the shape of any of these leaves. If I want to separate that more, I could make this a smaller leaf. It just depends, I guess, what you've done on the first fire and what you really want to end up with. Okay, but give this another coat of black paint. Leave this area with a reflection in the water. Don't do anything to that. Finish painting the leaves, finish painting the black, finish painting the flower, and then go ahead and fire that. And then on the last fire, this is where you get really picky, and you take some of the finer brushes and make sure that you have separation, a good separation between the background and the petals. Make sure that you have a good separation between all of these petals, and you can see where on this petal I did make it lighter on that edge so that you would have kind of a crease in the petal. Same with that petal. I probably used a pen and some of the blue violet and outlined the stamens so they stand up a little bit more. I can see where I've got to clean this up or paint it more to, because it's speckled down there and I really don't care for that. You probably will have to give the leaves, the black in the leaves, a little bit more color. This makes sure that you got the dark area in there. Other than that, I would say that's probably about it. If you want to turn back, be sure and get the lighter highlight there and then the darkness on the shadow area on the inside of the petal. I hope you have enjoyed painting, and I hope you will paint. Go ahead and get it done. If you have any questions, you can message us here on Facebook. Okay? Thanks for watching.